Did Spider-Man just save the box office? Here's a live look at Kevin Feige and Sony.
Well, do something.
What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. We've been covering Spider-Man all weekend, and I have a Spider-Man villains tier list on the way. But first, we got the box office numbers. And you guys know I love box office. I love to cover these kinds of things. But it's been very slow as of late. Well, it looks like old Spidey just rejuvenated everything, injecting one of the biggest opening weekends of all time. Not just during the pandemic, it's easily surpassed all of those numbers, but of all time. We're going to talk about those specific numbers today and possibly hit on some other films at the box office, but we know that these numbers were going to determine maybe where everything continues to move to next year. If you guys are here and you like these box office updates, be sure to smash that thumbs up button down below. That lets me know you want more. All right, so opening in 4,336 theaters, Spider-Man No Way Home made $253 million in the United States, which makes it the third biggest domestic opening of all time, despite everything happening with COVID-19. Now, we can look at the overseas market as well and kind of bring all of those numbers together. And keep in mind, these are the numbers without China. China is kind of the place where all of these movies they want to hit, but so far, it looks like No Way Home will struggle getting a release date there. So that could hurt it in the long run when we talk biggest movies ever overall, right? Not just domestically. So without China, we're talking $334 million. That is the number 3 global opening. And of course, these numbers are not adjusted for inflation. So keep in mind, I'm just giving you the numbers that we see. But coming together, that makes an opening of $587 million, which makes this a historic film opening. Sony Motion Picture Group Chair and CEO Tim Rothman says this weekend's historic results from all over the world and in the face of many challenges reaffirm the unmatched cultural that exclusive theatrical films can have when they are made and marketed with vision and resolve. And yeah, that's true to a degree, but it's also Spider-Man. And with all the hype going into this film and kind of the word of mouth coming out of this film, I feel like those numbers are at least going to remain. I mean, it's going to be hard to give us a second weekend without a 50% drop, but they're going to remain at least solid for the time being because word of mouth about this movie is so great. But No Way Home also sets numerous records during the COVID-19 era. It has been the first movie to make over $100 million since COVID hit. It's already made more money than any of the releases during their entire runs. Shang-Chi was at the top of that, so now we can put Spider-Man No Way Home firmly in first place after one weekend. Think about this, folks. This is absolutely insane. And then you look at the cinema score, which, you know, oftentimes cinema score, it's very difficult because it reflects kind of what the audience expected as opposed to what I believe a movie's true value is. That's why you see a lot of these independent and really a lot of these A24-like movies getting horrible cinema scores because most of the time the audience expects one thing and they get something else. So I look at cinema score, and it's a good thing to look at because you're polling general audiences, and that's good. But I've always looked at cinema score like, okay, what did they expect? What did they actually get? But the fact that it got an A+ cinema score, that is absolutely phenomenal because that means audiences got exactly to a T what they wanted to get. Of course, qualms and nitpicks along the way, and those who analyze it a bit more critically, yes. But that tells us that word of mouth after this weekend is going to be phenomenal. And I truly believe that this could stick around and stay extremely relevant at the box office. You also want to look at the IMAX theatrical number, $36.2 million globally. That is the number 6 showing of all time. You're talking IMAX opening weekends, which, you know, it may not be top 5, but still during the pandemic and the fact that people want to go see this on the biggest screen possible, that tells you something. Now, let's go to the records that it's breaking and what it's kind of stacking up against. So, Avengers Endgame leads this list, all-time domestic opening, with $357 million, followed by Avengers Infinity War with $257. So, Spider-Man No Way Home firmly in third place. The next two movies, Star Wars The Force Awakens, $248 million, Star Wars The Last Jedi, $220 million. Now, because Spider-Man had such a big opening, let's go on over and look at a couple of the films, the fallout of this box office, right? And this isn't all to do with Spider-Man. Obviously, we're still in a pandemic, but audiences, their interest level in these films, I thought would be much higher. I look at West Side Story and Nightmare Alley, and that's kind of what I want to focus on here. Two of genuinely, well, I would say West Side Story is one of the better movies of the year. I really enjoyed Nightmare Alley, but I thought they would have more of a broad appeal. I didn't expect them to do extremely well, but West Side Story is a movie that dropped 68% in its second weekend, which during the pandemic, we've seen a lot of 60% drops, but it didn't make all that much opening weekend. It made just $3.4 million this weekend domestically. That is $17 million total. Again, after opening weekend around 10 or 11, I expected it to be like, okay, maybe it could be like Greatest Showman and hold every single weekend because the word of mouth is so good, because it is good. It seems like audiences and critics who have watched it have liked it, but it just got vaporized by Spider-Man this weekend. And the carryover, the holdover, what I was kind of waiting on to see, it didn't quite happen. Nightmare Alley opened with $2.9 million this weekend. And there's no way to sugarcoat this. Again, I enjoyed the film. This isn't to speak upon quality. That is an atrocious opening. That is a horrible box office bomb of an opening with a great cast and a genuinely, I believe it's a movie that is worth seeing in the theater, a great ending. It's an atrocious opening weekend, so it absolutely got obliterated at the box office. So the fallout of Spider-Man, and it's not Spider-Man to blame. I truly believe that. I just think these films, because sometimes, right, when movie screenings, they will get so packed, there is some carryover into these other films. It's like, oh, we can't see Spider-Man. Why don't we go see Nightmare Alley? But the target audience for these two films, it's so drastically different from Spider-Man. I just feel like that didn't work out very well for it. So it's a bummer. Unfortunate, because I really enjoyed both movies. I still love West Side Story. I think it's a great film. But Spider-Man is truly, truly bringing at least a breath of air into the box office. And if you're asking me, I believe this is the best way for 2021 to go out with a movie making this much money, keeping theaters, firmly alive. They were alive, but firmly alive for the time being, and kind of carrying over into next year to where a lot of these bigger blockbuster tentpole films could do pretty well at the box office. And look at two of the bigger openings this year: Venom, Spider-Man. Next year, we have Morbius. We have Across the Spider-Verse, which I think could do even better than the first film because Spider-Man Mania. And this is a big win for Marvel, especially for Sony, because remember, it's a Sony picture. But I'm excited, guys. I can't wait to see where this goes. More importantly, what the holdover will be second weekend for Spider-Man No Way Home. And my question for you all is, how much does it make it next weekend? The winner, the person who gets the closest to how much money it makes next weekend domestically, right? I'm going to give a big shout out to in next week's box office video. So be sure to drop your thumbs up and leave your comments, man. Where's this going from here? How much money is it going to make overall? You guys are truly the best. I promise I'll take this off eventually. I've kept it on for 3 days. I'm getting a little sweaty, but we're still in Spider-Man Mania. I'll see you guys very, very soon.